From Vermont Public, this is The Frequency. I'm Mitch Wortley. It's Friday, October 17th, and here are today's headlines. Governor Phil Scott says young Republicans need to clean up their act following the leak of a text thread that contains racist and anti-Semitic messages. First-term State Senator Samuel Douglas was a member of the chat. In one message, he mocked the bathing habits of people from India. Scott is also a Republican. He criticized the offensive texts at a press conference this week and shared a message to fellow members of his party.
We should reject any of what we saw in that article. We should reject it out of hand. No tolerance, zero tolerance for that. Or better than that.
The governor is calling for Douglas to resign. Meanwhile, Douglas responded late yesterday afternoon when asked to comment on the issue, and he said he was oblivious to the, quote, disgusting comments being made by his colleagues. He also said he had not made a decision on whether he would resign and would release another statement before the end of the week. Leaders of environmental groups say Governor Scott overstepped his authority last month when he issued an order aimed at speeding up housing development. The order changes rules for building in wetlands and rolls back energy efficiency codes. Groups claim in a letter sent to state officials that the executive order undermines the separation of powers in Vermont. At the same press conference in which he referenced Douglas's remarks in the racist group chat, Scott defended his administration's decision on the housing development changes.
We believe it's in our authority. We believe that housing has been stated as an emergency in Vermont.
The letter asks leaders in the Scott administration to halt the changes if they can't prove they have the authority to implement them. A state program that encourages Vermonters to save for retirement will now offer its services in 18 different languages. The program is known as Vermont Saves. It offers a retirement plan for workers who don't have the option available through their employers. State Treasurer Mike Piechek says participants can have contributions automatically deducted from their paychecks and deposited in a personal Roth IRA account. He says the program is expanding to help more non-English speaking workers take advantage of those services.
Because there are a lot of new Americans that are starting businesses, and there are a lot of new Americans who don't have English as their first language that are working for businesses that are applicable for Vermont Saves, that are participating in Vermont Saves.
Piechek says more than 4,500 Vermonters have signed up for the Vermont Saves program in its first year of operation. In other news related to the state treasury, the office has hired a top staffer from U.S. Representative Becca Balint's team. David Scher will step into the role of Deputy State Treasurer at the beginning of November. Scher has formerly acted as Balint's state director since she won office in 2022, and he led the office's outreach and constituent services. His past roles include general counsel for the State Cannabis Control Board and Vermont's Assistant Attorney General. This is the third staffer from Representative Balint's office that the state treasurer's office has poached. Scher is replacing Gavin Boyles, who recently stepped down from the role. Coming up. Falls are one of the leading causes of injury for older adults, and it can make it difficult for seniors to live on their own as they age. But as Vermont Public's Nina Keck reports, emergency alert device technology has improved in recent years and is offering hope for those who want to keep living on their own. That's after this. As people get older, most say they want to age in their own homes and communities. But that's not always easy to do. Health and balance issues can get in the way. In fact, falls are the leading cause of injury and injury-related death for older adults. It's why health experts recommend that people prone to falling wear an emergency alert device. Vermont Public's Nina Keck talked with host Mary Engish about how sales of those devices are up and the technology is improving.
This technology has been around since the 1970s, and some of us may remember that sort of iconic commercial from the 1980s that showed a woman who had fallen in her bathroom and was shouting, I've fallen and I can't get up. It was for a product called Life Alert. But there are now many of those products available, and with baby boomers aging, assisted living facilities costly and hard to find, especially here in Vermont. The price of home care aids really expensive. They're also hard to find. It's making these devices a lot more attractive, especially since there's so many more aging baby boomers and a lot of those folks live alone. Industry analysts, Mary, say the market share for personal medical alert systems of all types is expected to grow from $9.2 billion in 2024 up to more than $26 billion in 2034.
Wow, yes, that is quite the jump. Yeah, I totally remember those commercials too. How do these devices actually work?
Typically, they include a wearable item like a pendant or a wristband that's got an activation button. Pressing the button connects the user to a monitoring center that's staffed by trained professionals who can assess the situation and then dispatch help if necessary. And that may mean sending an ambulance if one is warranted, or it might just mean calling your next door neighbor.
Are these devices cost effective, though?
Prices vary. Most of the systems that I saw range from $20 to $60 a month or more. Fall detection features, which are now available, or mobile features that follow you, they're going to be more costly. One thing I should note is Medicare does not pay for these services, although you can get help through some Medicaid programs if you qualify in the state.
Nina, were you able to connect with and talk with any folks that actually use these wearable devices?
I was, yeah. One who stands out is 92-year-old Ralph Crippen. He lives alone in Rutland, and he told me his medical alert pendant gives him a lot of peace of mind. He has balance issues, he told me, and falls are a really big concern for him. So this allows him to get out into the community, go to the local senior center for lunch, and really feel like, okay, I can do this. Michael Tarbell is CEO of the Regional Ambulance Service in Rutland. And he painted a pretty sobering picture of when their service responds to people who've fallen who don't have one of these devices and may have a delayed response because of it. He said it's not uncommon for them to find someone who's fallen and maybe they've been on the floor for a couple of days. A simple fall where there's no injury, he said, suddenly is compounded because the person hasn't taken their medication, they haven't had anything to drink or eat, and it can spiral to get to be a very serious situation. So he recommends these devices for sure. And caregivers I talked to that have older loved ones that use them said it just gives them a lot of peace of mind.
Talk about how some of these products are improving.
Well, briefly, we talked about some have fall detection. They offer mobile coverage now, so they roam with you. Some people are using smartwatches, smart speakers, like your Alexa. Amazon now offers medical services that you can subscribe to, and some smartwatches now offer additional features. But for any system, and there are a lot of them out there, I would say do your homework. But I would also recommend just talking to your healthcare provider to see what they might recommend.
Well, thanks so much for digging into this, Nina.
You're welcome, Mary.
And now it's time for our weekly check-in on news from the world of sports. And it's funny how just one game in a best-of-7 baseball playoff series can completely alter the portrait painted on the field. After the Seattle Mariners silenced the crowd at the Rogers Center with 2 straight wins over the Toronto Blue Jays and opened Game 3 of the ALCS in Seattle with a 2-run lead, it looked like it might be time to get the brooms out to help sweep the Mariners to their first-ever World Series appearance. But the Blue Jays finally got the lumber booming in Game 3 and went on to a 13-4 rout powered by 5 home runs, and by the time you're hearing this, may have already tied up the series at 2 games apiece pending the outcome of the late game in Seattle last night. Either way, that victory in Game 3 brought the Blue Jays right back into the thick of the fight. And given that they did the damage against Seattle's de facto ace George Kirby, it could further galvanize the spirits of a team whose calling card all season has been making contact to get the ball in play and going yard more often than other teams do in the process. One thing that did seem in Seattle's favor heading into Game 4 last night was the Blue Jays running Max Scherzer out to start. Because although the veteran fireballer has been one of the game's greats and is almost certainly headed to the Hall of Fame once he hangs up his spikes for good, he had been more than a little touchable in the late stages of the regular season. So much so, in fact, that the Blue Jays did not even put him on the roster as an option in the divisional series against the New York Yankees. And his inclusion into the ALCS in Game 4 last night seems a decision made more out of necessity than choice. As for the National League Championship Series, things are far more dire for the Milwaukee Brewers, who were completely stifled by LA Dodgers starting pitchers Blake Snell in Game 1 and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who went the full 9 innings to get the win in Game 2. Both victories occurred in front of a disappointed full house in Milwaukee, pining to see their Brew Crew get to the World Series for the first time since 1982, the only time Milwaukee has ever made it to the Fall Classic, and to actually win it, which the franchise has never done. Unless Milwaukee was able to win Game 3 in LA last night, those dreams will likely go unrealized for another year, as only one team in Major League Baseball history has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit to win a playoff series. And yes, I'm adding that fact just so I can say it was the Boston Red Sox who did it against the New York Yankees in 2004. It would be great to see a Brewers-Mariners World Series, pitting two teams that have never won a title against each other. But much as it's annoying to see the highest payroll in the game Dodgers have the opportunity to win back-to-back championships, it's also true that it would be amazing to see Shohei Ohtani pull double duty as both an exceptional slugger and a top-flight pitcher in the final, and at a level truly not seen since Babe Ruth in his pre-New York Yankees days with the Red Sox. Checking in on the ice, I got pretty excited seeing the Boston Bruins open their season with 3 straight wins, only to be brought back to earth watching them commit unforced error defensive turnovers that led to goals in a 4-3 loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning last week, a game that looked a lot like the ones they lost by the Zamboni load last season. The Bruins began a yes, it's early, but still important West Coast road trip in Las Vegas last night against Mitch Marner and a really good Vegas Knights team. And if the Bruins were able to eke out even 1 point in a regulation tie by game's end, I'd call that a victory, even if they went on to lose in overtime or a shootout. The Montreal Canadiens are winners of 3 of their first 4 and possibly 4 out of 5 after the so-so Nashville Predators visited the Bell Center last night. The highlight of the season so far was the Habs home opener, in which the team held a passionate and moving pregame ceremony honoring one of their greatest all-time players, former goaltender Ken Dryden, who passed away last month at the age of 78. The team then went on to beat the Seattle Kraken 5-4 in overtime, tying the game in regulation with just 2 minutes left on a goal by rookie Ivan Demidov, followed by Cole Caulfield's winner in the extra frame. In the NFL, the New England Patriots have a great chance to run their record to 5-2 when they visit the 1-5 Titans in Tennessee Sunday. If the Pats do win, the next step should be targeting a top-flight wide receiver they can acquire at the trade deadline to give rising star quarterback Drake May his very best opportunity to lead the Patriots back to the playoffs. In men's college soccer, the UVM Catamounts will try to keep their regular season undefeated mark intact when they take their 8-0-5 record to UNH tomorrow to run against the Wildcats. The UVM women took their 5-3-4 record into a tilt against the New Jersey Institute of Technology at Virtue Field yesterday, and they get right back to action on Sunday, hosting UMass Lowell. And the regionally ranked St. Michael's Purple Knights women's soccer team takes a 10-2-1 record onto the pitch against American International tomorrow in Colchester. St. Mike's latest win was a 5-0 drubbing of Maine Fort Kent, in which senior Faith Kosiba tied a school record by recording 4 assists in the victory. And that's our weekly look at news from the world of sports. Thanks for listening to The Frequency today. We had additional reporting from Liam Elder Connors, Carly Berlin, Bob Kinzel, and Jen Jarecki. Today's episode was edited by Stephanie Colombini, and our music is by Blue Dot Sessions. I'm Mitch Wertlieb. Talk to you Monday.